welcome to another episode of the Woldenburn podcast. My name is Emily, and I am so glad that you are here today. I am coming to you from Tennessee. We're in the United States, where I live with my husband Micah and our beautiful, wonderful baby boy. Today it is a lovely sunny day out. It's supposed to get up into the mid-50s Fahrenheit, I believe, so that's quite lovely. I am realizing more and more as I get older that I am very much a spring-summer sort of a person. I love sunlight. I love springtime so much, with all of the birds singing and the flowers coming up and everything going back green. I've just really realized that. I used to think that I liked spring and fall equally, and then summer, and then winter was my least favorite because I get really cold and it just, it's not fun. But then, especially this last season, I just have realized that I just love springtime so much. It is by far my favorite season. I love the mild temperatures, and then everything just feels like it's coming alive, and it's my favorite. It's a little bit of a tangent, but I've kind of been thinking about that, particularly with watching Amber of A Lovely Yarn. She's talked about how much she much prefers summertime over wintertime. And it just got me thinking, and I realized that, yeah, I like warmer temperatures. I do still love fall time, but I've seen a lot of people talking about how they feel like they come alive when autumn arrives, and I'm the opposite. I am all the way springtime. Like, that is when I feel the most alive, the most me, if you will. But anyway, I intended to film this podcast in the week between Christmas and New Year's, but there were other plans in the works for me. I ended up getting sick right after Christmas. I felt kind of off one day and then woke up the next day with a fever and just felt kind of terrible, honestly, for a good 2 to 3 days. And then before I had a chance to recover, baby Tam got it, and he was in and out of a fever for 2 days. And then right when baby Tam was recovering, that's when Micah got it. So we have all been sick for the last couple of weeks, off and on. I mean, I've been feeling mostly normal for the last week, but we've still kind of been recovering and whatnot. So basically, all of my plans for the filming and whatnot just completely got put to the side. I actually just earlier today filmed the last video for my Vlogmas series that I did in December, and so I've got to get that edited and uploaded. By the time you're watching this, that should already be up. This week you're probably going to get several videos. Well, 2. I think I'm going to save, because the other video I was planning to make was my kind of knitting, creative, and personal goals for 2023. And I think I will save that for next week, just so that you don't have like 6 videos or something. Well, it would be 3, but anyway. That pop up in your subscription feed from me. Yeah, so like I said, I intended to film this at the end of December and kind of do a sort of a December wrap-up and talk about how I was planning to make some changes to my podcast/channel, but that didn't happen. So here we are. We're in the second week of January. Today is January 9th, and yeah. Let's kind of talk about a few, I wrote out some notes for myself, kind of the layout for today. We're going to talk about a couple of podcast channel updates and changes that I'm planning to do for the upcoming year and potentially just kind of going forward. Then we're going to talk about what I'm wearing. Then we've got this typical FOs, whips, and then I've got a couple of knitting plans. Then I've got some acquisitions, a little bit of sewing, and then kind of a general sort of life update, what I've been watching, what I've been reading, that sort of jazz. So that is the game plan for today's video. So first off, channel updates, podcast updates. I have realized, particularly since having a baby, that I have way less knitting time, way less creative time, period, than I have ever had in my life before. And there were a couple of people that made some comments on my videos when I was still pregnant that said, you know, don't worry too much about knitting. You're not going to have that much knitting time when the baby gets here. Just enjoy all of the baby snuggles. And I was like, oh yeah. I've had babies before. I've been around I have not had babies before. I have been around babies before. I have a lot of younger siblings. It's not going to be that bad. He's going to sleep all the time and I'll have plenty of knitting time. That did not happen. Particularly for the first 2 months after baby Tam was born, he just wanted to be held by me 24/7. He did not want anybody else to hold him. He would start hollering his head off if Micah held him. And so for the first 2 months after he was born, basically I was on call 24/7. And it was hard to like even just shower, let alone do any knitting or anything. And then since then we've kind of gotten things a bit more balanced and whatnot, but still, as a mother, like, my job is taking care of the baby. So that means I have very limited knitting time, which means that doing a podcast every couple of weeks, I was thinking about it and I realized it just didn't make that much sense because I'm just not able to make that much. I'm not able to do as much as I want to and get as much done. So the game plan is that going forward, I'm going to plan to do one podcast kind of probably in the final week of each month, talking about what I've worked on that month, what I've gotten done, what I'm in progress, and then also maybe a few plans for the upcoming month. One of the ladies that I discovered and I watched a bunch of her videos. I watched like her whole back catalog in the early days after the baby was born, and I was nursing and I had to feed baby Tam every 2 hours. And so I would be up in the night so exhausted, tired. So I just started keeping my headphones and my iPad by the bed so I could watch knitting podcasts just to help me stay awake. And so I started watching Amanda of the Crafting Sparrow. And that's kind of what she does. She does a monthly podcast where she talks about what she's done that month and then what she's kind of planning and looking forward and hoping to do in the following month. And I really enjoy that. And then after I found her, I also found Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits, and she does a monthly podcast. And it's just, I think that that's going to be the best bet for me going forward. I also really want to work on not expecting or pressuring myself to just churn out all of these different knitting projects to be a production line. I really want to try, particularly this year, to kind of be an encouragement for slower knitting and to kind of take your time and, you know, still work on projects, still get things done, but I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to rush through every single project just to get it done. So that's my game plan. Once a month, do a podcast. In January, you're going to get 2 because this one was supposed to be in December, but we've been over that. So then what I'm hoping to do is I would still love to be able to do a weekly video. However, I think for the other 3 weeks in the month, I would like to try and do either vlog style videos. Like, I really enjoyed doing Vlogmas. It was so much fun. It was nice to edit and do shorter videos, and it was just nice to kind of talk about my day and what had been going on, or just sharing different topic videos. Like, I talked about what I got for Black Friday or the Black Friday Thanksgiving weekend sales, and it was really, really nice. And so I would like to do a few more of those types of videos, maybe like knit and chat style videos, or I would also really like to, along with kind of the slower crafting pace, I would love to make some videos of like sew with me or knit with me, where I kind of go through the whole process from casting on a project or cutting out a project from fabric all the way up through to the end, and then have some really nice pretty pictures, and just I would really like to make some of those types of videos. So that's kind of the game plan. If there's any particular type of video that you would be interested in seeing me make, I would love to hear about it, but that's kind of what I'm aiming towards, is just kind of knit with me, knit and chat, vlog style videos, that sorts of thing. So ideally, I would still really like to be able to put out 4 videos a month. Like, that's kind of what I would like to work towards. But as far as the longer, like hour-ish long video podcast, once a month. So that's kind of that's what I'm hoping to do, at least for 2023, and potentially just straight up going forward. That'll be my game plan. Because alongside videos for this channel, I would also like to make, you know, 1 to 2 videos a month for my book channel that I have. And I go back and forth on whether or not I just want to combine the two or keep them separate. But I think that it makes the most sense for this channel to be specifically crafting, knitting, sewing, lifestyle, and then to have a separate one where it's specifically talking about books and reading vlogs and that sort of thing, which I will link that channel down below if you're interested and you also like books and reading and cozy, wholesome things. So that's the game plan. And I feel like I've said game plan 3 or 4 times already. That is my goal, my hope for this channel for 2023. So that is that. Let's move on to the more crafty portion of the video. Okay, what am I wearing? You can't really particularly see it. I cannot remember if I had this done with for my last podcast episode. I think I either had it done or I was very, very close to being done. Since that video, I think I may have been working on the second sleeve and I was just about done, or I was in the process of seaming it up. It took me forever to get the second sleeve seamed up. It was just one of those things where it's really easy to sit down and knit a few rows, but to stop, like, you have to pay much more attention when you're seaming something, and with baby, it took me forever. And then once I got the seaming done, it took me several weeks more to just weave in all the ends, because again, you have to stop and pay more attention to. I actually finished it weaving in the ends last night. But it's done. I absolutely love it. This is my Stockinette cardigan that I did as a test knit for Emily of the Blue Mouse Knits. She has a YouTube channel here, and I will link that down below. It is a absolutely lovely pattern. I can't really stand up and show you too well because baby. But it's kind of a hip-ish length, like higher hip length cardigan. It hasn't been released yet. It's going to have 2 different lengths, kind of a shorter cropped version and then a longer, I think like maybe thigh length version. I'm not 100% sure. It's made out of a worsted weight yarn. I just used Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber. I really like this yarn. It's so nice and it's nice and soft. It's not too plasticky like some acrylic yarns can be, and it feels really nice and cozy. And I put it on this morning and I was just, I really like it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm almost positive I'm gonna knit another one, and I think that it would be fun to make it a little bit longer. And I had mentioned that I wanted to put some pockets onto this one. The pattern doesn't come with it, and so I'd have to figure that out on my own, but I still think that that would be so nice to have some pockets in it. It feels like it should have pockets. But when I made this, I got 4 skeins of the yarn, and it was absolutely perfect for knitting this cardigan. There was only like a little ball left, so I don't think I have enough for pockets, and I don't really want to get a whole other extra skein just to put some pockets in. I might still do that, but we'll see. But yeah, overall, I absolutely love it. One thing I would change next time is I would make the sleeves a little bit shorter. I just knit it to pattern because I was test knitting it. And they're just a little bit long. I have them folded down, as you can see here. But even with them folded down, they still come all the way to my hand. And I think particularly just for the life stage that I'm in right now, I've seen a few people talk about it. Yarn dyers talk about how they always make their sleeves more bracelet length because they're constantly doing stuff with their hands and whatnot. And I'm realizing I need to be more mindful about that, and I should probably start doing that and making them more bracelet length because, yeah, I'm using my hands constantly, getting them wet in water, like washing things, whatnot. And so I think that next time I would probably make it a good bit shorter And then, although to be fair, I do really like the look of a folded down cuff. I just wish the ribbing was longer because I like it when it's like a chunky cuff that's folded back. So I go back and forth. Maybe I would just knit longer ribbing and then just plan to fold it back. But overall, I really like this cardigan. I have got to knit myself more cardigans this year. That's one of my goals that I'm hoping to talk about in my knitting goals video. That it's going to be a long one because I have a lot of goals and plans for knitting, and also there's some personal ones that I want to talk about, and blogging, and it's going to be a long video. That's why I'm not combining it with this video. Anyway. Yes, I would love to knit another one of these. It may be a while, but I have a few other things that I'm wanting to get done, and I do want to work on trying to kind of... My phone's buzzing. Oh, that's the testnet chat. Anyway, I do have some stuff that's in my stash that I would like to knit up first, and then think about getting more yarn and maybe knitting another cardigan, because I do really like it. And I have really noticed that I wear cardigans. I mean, I've known this, but again, I don't really always pay attention to it. I wear cardigans way more than I wear sweaters, just because they're so easy to take off and put back on. So I think that is something, and particularly with being a mum and having a baby and breastfeeding and whatnot, I just need to be able to take layers off and put them back on very quickly and easily, because I'm still running very warm, like my temperature wise, my body and whatnot. And my mum was saying that it's because I'm breastfeeding, so my hormones are still like doing crazy things. And so I'll be kind of chilly, and then 5 minutes later I'll be boiling hot. So I need to be able to on and off things. And I think I've only ever knit like 3 or 4 cardigans in the entire time that I've been properly knitting, and like 2 or 3 of those were for other people. So I think that this year I'm going to try and invest more in knitting myself more cardigans, because I have a whole cabinet full of thrifted cardigans that I wear all the time. And that should have been an indicator to me that that's what I needed to be doing. But sometimes I don't pay attention to that. And I need to get better about it. So, highly recommend this pattern. Like I said, it's not out yet. I think it might be a free pattern that she's planning to make a video for. Don't quote me on that because I can't remember for sure. But sometime here, Emily just got a new puppy who is adorable. He's so cute. And so she said for the next month or so, she's going to kind of be pulling back a little bit with some of her knitting and whatnot. Just because a puppy is basically like a baby. If not more on demand. Because with babies, you can do this. You can stick them in there and like contain them. Puppies are, yeah. So, I'm not sure when the pattern will be coming out. But, let's go ahead and talk about some FOs, some faux finished objects. So first off, again, I can't remember if I had completely finished this when I spoke on my last podcast, but this is the granite stitch baby blanket that I have been working on for quite some time. And I knit this out of I think it's like the Joanne store brand yarn. It's Big Twist Value. And it's just a really basic square rectangle-ish baby blanket, and I just picked a stitch that I liked out of one of my knitting and stitch dictionary books and just knit it up. And I just finished weaving in the ends again yesterday or the day before. It may have been the day before now, I can't remember for sure. So it's been done for a minute, but I just haven't gotten around to weaving in the ends because, again, for whatever reason, I don't mind weaving in the ends or anything like that. It's just, it's harder to find the time to be able to sit down and take like 5 minutes to properly concentrate and weave in the ends. But I've done that. It's done. I'm happy. It's good to go. it's a decent blanket. Having said that, I don't know if I would use this yarn again. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I think I would prefer to use like the Hobby Lobby store brand yarns over this yarn. There's nothing wrong with it. I think I prefer the Hobby Lobby yarns. Yeah. So that's a finished object number 1, something that I've talked about a lot, and then I have 2 more finished objects that you will not have seen on the podcast before. If you've been watching my Vlogmas videos, you very much will have seen it before. So first off is a pair of socks that I knit for Micah for his Christmas present, or one of his Christmas presents, and actually it was a Christmas Eve present. And these are just a basic vanilla shorty sock. I knit these on US size 1 or 2.25mm double pointed needles. I did, I think, about 10 rows of 1x1 ribbing. Then I did, is this 10 rows? I think it's 10 rows for the leg. Then I did an Eye of the Partridge heel, and then just a standard foot and toes. He has worn these somewhat, so they're a little bit kind of felty looking, or like fuzzy looking. But there's my heel, and yeah, I knit this out of the Berroco Vintage Sock, which I can't remember exactly. It's a blend of acrylic wool and nylon, and I am super curious to see how it's gonna hold up. I have a feeling it's going to do pretty well, especially if, sorry, I gotta turn this silent thing on. There we go. Okay. I have a feeling it's going to hold up better than some of the other socks, just because of the amount that my husband wears his socks and whatnot. This may be the sock yarn that I end up using the most going forward, because I think that acrylic in it is going to help it be stronger, but I don't know. I'm going to keep tabs on it. I'm going to see how it does and kind of go from there. So, yeah, and this is in the Douglas Fir colorway, which I love. It is so beautiful. It's kind of got like a bluey, yellowy green to it, and it's kind of got like that variegation. It's beautiful. So the one thing that I did with this one is, as you can see here, I stitched some, it's called like smocking elastic. It's elastic thread. I had it over here. No, it's not over here anymore. I just did, I think, what is it, 4 or 5 rounds of 4 of that around the cuff, because one of Micah's, I don't want to call it complaints, because it has such a negative feeling to it. It's like, oh, here, honey, I made you hand knit socks. Ew, can you change this about them? One of his things that he's kind of had issues with from hand knit versus store-bought socks is that the cuff, after wearing them just once or twice, gets really loose and it starts kind of falling down. So I decided I wanted to try, and I've been meaning to do this for so long, but I keep forgetting to do it. I've wanted to try and see if stitching this smocking elastic thread into it would help with some of the recovery and would make it so that it doesn't immediately feel looser. Because, like, for me, I've been wearing hand knit socks for a few years now, and in combination with store-bought socks. So I'm pretty familiar with them getting kind of loose, and that just being part of the nature of hand knit socks when you worn them. But it kind of frustrates Micah because he'll only wear it like once, and then they start kind of slipping down and they'll slide down into his shoes, and he can't really wear them more than once comfortably. So I put the elastic in there, and he really liked it. He really liked it. It helped it stay up so much better, and he was just like, yes. These are perfect. These socks fit amazingly. They're absolutely perfect. They stay up. They kind of hug his ankle. So my plan is to go back with some of the socks that I've knit him recently and add the elastic into the cuff. And I've already done it with one of his pairs of socks. I think there's just 1 or 2 more that I need to do it on. So that was really lovely to hear. He absolutely loved these. So there's those. And then the other big project that I finished is actually a crocheting project, but it's yarn related. I made a Hobbs toy as Baby Tam's first Christmas present. yeah, this is from a free pattern. I cannot remember the name of the person who did it, but I'll put it up here, and I will link the blog post down below where the pattern is. You can also find it through Ravelry, but if you go through Ravelry, it just links to the blog post, so I'm just gonna link the blog post. But this is a Hobbs toy, which is from the Calvin and Hobbes comic, if you are not familiar. And I crocheted this all out of, again, Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek low pill fiber yarn in I think it's heathered charcoal gray. I think the orange might be pumpkin spice, and then just a white. And yeah. And then the facial features are made from felt, and I just hand stitched them on for the nose, eyes, and then the stripes. Yeah, so this was a really fun project. He turned out absolutely massive. He's the same size as Baby Tam, like maybe a little bit shorter, but he's basically the same size as a baby. So I was a little disappointed about that because, and it was completely my fault. The pattern called for DK weight yarn, and this is a worsted leaning towards like Aran weight, I think. So it was a thicker yarn. But it turned out really beautifully. It's huge. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of other little toys, which I was already planning to do anyway, because I do think that Baby Tam will enjoy having this toy and will play with it, but probably not until he's a good bit older. He really likes to look at him right now, and he'll stare at the stripes, like the contrasting colors. He really likes that. But again, it's too big for him to play with. So that's my other finished object. I think that's all that I had. Yeah, that's all that I had as far as finished objects to share with you. Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about some works in progress. Let me pull some things over here. So first off, I have a couple of pairs of socks that I am working on knitting for Micah. So one of them, I've had this sock done for a minute, and this is knit out of Drops Fable in it's just a gray colorway. I can't remember if it's like the number is 200. I'm not sure. So I've got the first sock done, and then I am working on the second sock, and I am at the point where I have to stop and do the heel. So I've gotten started on that, and again, per usual, I'm knitting these on US size 1 or 2.25 millimeter needles. And yeah, like I said, this is the Drops Fable yarn. It's just a basic gray. So I'm working on those socks, and then I cast on a pair of socks out of this yarn, which is the Fiber Co. Amble fingering weight yarn, and I just look at that colorway. It is amazing. Come on, focus. It is just stunning. I absolutely love it. So I started knitting a sock for Micah out of that, and I'm using my Leica, I don't remember how you pronounce it, needles, US size 1 and a circular needle, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm almost done with the heel flap, and then I'll just need to pick up stitches around it and then start doing the gusset decreases. I will say with this yarn, I find it so confusing how people will classify fingering weight versus sport weight, because this one definitely seems like, I think it's like 380-ish, or I can't remember if it's 350 or 380. I think it's like somewhere around 380 yards per skein. And to me, from what I've seen, that seems like it's much more along the lines of a sport weight yarn, not a fingering weight yarn. So I'm hoping that these socks don't turn out absolutely massive. They look like they're going to be okay. But yeah, it's just, I find it so weird, the different yardages that they still classify as one weight of yarn versus another weight of yarn. But there's that. So this one's just going to be a vanilla sock. The other one, I don't know if you noticed or not, but it is a ribbed sock. Let me pull that back up here. Yeah, it's going everywhere. So this one is just a basic 2x2 ribbed sock. So there's those two. And then, right now, pretty much all of my active whips are just socks because I was so busy with Christmas stuff and whatnot that I just didn't have the brain capacity for much else. And I think I've shared this before. Is the actual sock in here? It is. Okay. That I had made myself a Hermione's Everyday sock, which is a pattern by Erica Luder, and I had made myself a shorty sock in this. This is also Drops Fable. So I've made the first one, and then I have actually started working on the second sock. And I am just about done with the cuff, and I'm about to do the... I do about 8 rows of the leg. So I'm just about to that point on this one. So I'm hoping to get this pair of socks done soon, because again, both this one and the gray pair of socks have been sitting around since before Baby Tam was born, because I was working on them like right before he was born. So there's those. And then let me check here. Actually, let me get a drink of water first. Okay, and then the next, I guess you could say, active whip is this, which is a test knit that I'm doing for Hannah of Hannah G Knits, and this is it's a cabled hat pattern. This is for Baby Tam, and I've just finished the ribbing, and I've just done like 2 rows of the cable chart. And again, I'm actually using leftovers from making Hobbs. This is the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber yarn, and I really like this. I think this is going to be such a nice cozy hat for Baby Tam. But yeah, so I've only done a couple rows of the cable chart, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to turn out. I think it's going to be so, so cute and so lovely and warm and cozy. Yeah, there's not too much more to say about this. The deadline for the test knit is sometime at like the beginning of February, so I think the pattern's supposed to be released sometime in February. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, stay tuned for that, because it's just a lovely kind of classic hat pattern, and I really like it. I'm super glad that I was able to be part of the test knit. And yeah, there's not too much more to say about it at this point, because right now it's just basically a bunch of ribbing. Yeah. So there's those. Those are all kind of my actively working on them whips. I do have a couple of other projects that I have cast on. One of which is my patchwork blanket. I worked on this one a little bit here and there during the holiday season, not too much. I think I finished one square and started another one. So there's that one. It would be really nice for me. I'm hoping to be able to work on this a decent amount over the winter, and then be able to maybe have it done by spring, because these are such springy colors. So there's that one, and then I have my Corbell sweater that I've been working on, and then I have my Tegna sweater, and yeah, so it's just those two. Which, actually, it's something that I'll talk about a little bit more, I think, in my goals video, but I have realized a couple of things. One, I don't love sweaters when they're fingering weight yarn and they are, the majority of them are stockinette. I just don't like how the fabric looks. I want it to be much tighter and less see-through, if you will, more like a ready-to-wear sweater than all of the fingering weight sweaters are that I've knit before. And I realized, unfortunately, with my Find Your Fade, is it Find Your Fade? No, it's So Faded sweater, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I realized a couple of things with this. One, I started knitting it when I was not pregnant, and so the size that I chose is, I wouldn't say it's too small. It fits, but what happens is it really stretches the stitches across my bust in particular, and so it really opens up the fabric more than I would like it to, and so you can really see, like, you can see where I wove the ends in, which I also, part of that was just that I guess I did it too tightly or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but you could like really see it. I don't know if you can see it at all there when I was wearing it, and so I think that the size around the bust was too small. If I had made it a size up, I don't think the fabric would have stretched quite that much, and so the stitches would have looked tighter and close together. The other thing too is that it's too short. With the bust size that I am right now and whatnot, it comes up too much, and so that combined with the fact that I think I just chose the wrong size for my postpartum body, I think I'm gonna frog it, because I love these yarns, particularly this pink and this variegated. I love them so much. I'm so proud of them. These are all my hand-dyed yarns, and I absolutely love them, and it would make me so sad for them to just sit in a sweater that I'm not gonna wear, just because I don't like how it looks on me. So I think I'm gonna frog it and maybe make a shawl out of it. I'm not 100% sure yet, but that being said, I've come to the realization that I just don't think that I really care for plain stockinette fingering weight sweaters. I have a fingering weight sweater, the Andrea Mowry Wool and Honey, I think is what it's called, and I love that one because it's completely garter stitch, and so I think there's just a little bit more structure, fabric, bounce, what you call it, to it, and I really like that one. And then I have another garter stitch sweater in fingering weight. It's the Flow sweater pattern by Emily of the Blue Mouse Knits. I love that one too. So I realized that I think it's specifically just stockinette fingering weight projects. So that being said, I think I'm also going to frog the Tegna that I've been working on, because I just don't know if I would wear it. If it's all a stockinette fingering weight sweater, am I gonna wear it or am I gonna hate it? I'm not sure. So that one I'm still on the fence about, because I know it is a much looser fit, and so I might be fine with that one. But I'm pretty certain sure I'm going to frog the So Faded sweater. I might try and put a few more rows in onto the Tegna and then kind of assess and see how I feel from there. I think that's kind of what I was leaning towards, is working some more on that one, and then maybe, the problem is it's from bottom up, so I can't really try it on quite the same way as I can other ones, but I've seen a few different versions of the Tegna and I really liked it, but I just don't know if I like it on other people but not on me, sort of a thing. But yeah, so I'm kind of on the fence with that one. But that is all. Yep, that's all that I have as far as projects. I did want to talk quickly about a couple of plans that I am hoping to start working on, and then acquisitions, a little bit of sewing, a little bit of life update. That's where we're at. Okay, so first off, I had cast on a pair of socks in this beautiful opal sock yarn. This is part of their Van Gogh collection. That's kind of what the sock is supposed to look like. Yeah. I had cast it on, and then I realized that I had made a mistake in the cuff ribbing, and I was like, do I really care that much? No. Actually, yeah, I do. So I had cast it on, and I frogged it. So I'm going to start over, and I also realized that I was like, I have too many sock projects on the go at one time, so we're going to frog this. I'm going to finish up my blue socks that I'm making for myself, and then probably one of the sock probably the gray socks that I'm knitting for Micah. Try and get those 2 done, and then I think I'm going to cast on, because I have a few pairs of socks that I want to make for myself. So this is going to be one of them, and then I have the West Yorkshire Spinners Silent Night colorway. I would like to work on that one and just kind of do that one because it's all blue, so it feels very wintry. And January, for whatever reason, I just... It seems like it's a blue month. Not like as in a blue sad month, but just blues seem extra appropriate in January. I don't know why, because I feel like blue is appropriate any time of the year. I love the color blue. But I just feel like knitting Silent Night, the blue Silent Night socks in January would be so much fun. So those are the next 2 sock projects I'm planning. And then something that I'm actually hoping to cast on, if not today, maybe tomorrow. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the Teeny Tiny Knit Mitts by We Knit Together. And that is what they look like. Like that. And I want to knit some of these for baby Tam. He is in desperate need of some mittens. My mom had gotten him, they're called baby bunting suits. And they're just kind of like these cozy wintry sorts of suits, and it has like the fold over hand thing, so it worked perfectly for a while because it covered his hands and he was good to go. But his arms have gotten too long. He's kind of just gotten a little bit big for that suit, and so his hands stick out at the end now because they're too long for the fold over piece. And so he is in desperate need of some mittens because I don't really like to take him outside unless he's got some mittens on, and I really want to be better about getting him outside, getting me outside. So I'm hoping to, this just takes DK weight yarn, and I think it would be super, super fast. I could probably do both mittens in like one day. And I am planning to do the little cord thing that goes up around their shoulders so that I don't lose them. But yeah, so this is something that I'm planning to cast on and get started as quickly as I possibly can. So those are my knitting plans, and then I have a couple of acquisitions to share, just a couple little things. First off, it was my birthday, and Anna from the Anna Knitter podcast released a new opal collection in her Etsy store, and I had been wanting to get some yarn from her store, and I was thinking that the shipping was much, much more expensive than it was, but it actually ended up that with the shipping, the opal yarn was maybe $1 or $2 more expensive than getting it from my local yarn store. So I got myself some yarn, and I'm incredibly excited about this. This is from the new collection. I think it's the Pretty collection. And this is what the colors are, and then that is what the sock is supposed to look like. And it's so festive looking because it's got that sparkle in it. But it's different because it's kind of got more blue than green, so it's kind of like red and blue. But it looks so Christmassy, and I realized that I wanted to go ahead and get it because then I can knit up some Christmas socks for myself. And it's one of those things that I really want to try and get ahead of it this year and try to do as much sort of Christmas-y sorts of things well in advance of Christmas, so that when Christmas time comes, and this was something I was watching Anna Knitter's vlog, and she talked about this, how she intentionally got all of like her gift knitting and whatnot done before Christmas so that she could just work on sort of cozy, relaxing sorts of projects. And that's what I want to do. So I want to try and probably knit some Christmas socks early. And yeah, so I fell in love with this colorway and I just had to have it. So I did. And I was like, happy birthday to me. And then the other thing, I wanted to share these because these were some Christmas presents that I received from Micah's family. The way that they do it is they just pick names. Everybody gets a name, and then you just buy one present, or you buy presents for that one person. So I was gifted these 3 crocheting books, and I wanted to share them with you quickly. The first one is Whimsical Stitches by Lauren Espy, I guess. And this one is just so cute. As you can see from the cover, it just has all sorts of different like little animals and flowers and plants. I love the little whale, and then there's a little turtle in here that I really want to make, because it's been a joke since Baby Tam was born that he's our little turtle child. Because sometimes the way that he just like sticks his head up just looks like a turtle. Is that not so cute? So there's that book. And then this book, which is Crochet Cute Critters by Sarah Zimmerman. And look at that giraffe. It's so cute. And this one again also has a turtle in it, but it has like an owl and a monkey and a kangaroo, and then there's a jellyfish. There's a hippo. I love the hippo. The hippo is so cute. And it's just a bunch of really cute little toy animal patterns. There's an alligator. So I love that one. And then this one is Literary Yarns, Crochet Projects Inspired by Classic Books by Cindy Wang. Wang, I think it's Wang. I have seen this at my local library, and I love it because look it right there. There's a little Sherlock Holmes. I am so excited about this. It has a bunch of different characters from books that I have read multiple times. So there's Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. There's, let me see, Lion, Witch and Wardrobe, Wizard of Oz. Or not Lion, Witch and Wardrobe. That is Narnia. The Wizard of Oz, which has lions. It's got the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. It's got Scrooge, stuff from Great Gatsby. It's got Esmeralda and Quasimodo. And I love this one. It's Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. And then it's got Anne Shirley, of course. It's got Napoleon, which is the pig from Animal Farm. That book made me so angry when I read it. I just, I was so upset about that. And then it's got Prince Hamlet. And then, which I think was Micah's favorite one, was Prince Hamlet. And I think that's about it. Oh no, where's the Sherlock Holmes? The Sherlock Holmes is my favorite one. I absolutely love the Sherlock Holmes. I am 100% going to make myself a Sherlock Holmes. Let's see if I can find it. Where did it go? Maybe it's back here. Maybe I skipped it. Yes, I did. I accidentally skipped it. Sherlock Holmes. I love Sherlock Holmes so much. So I'm incredibly excited about this one. I am probably going to try and make a few things out of here. Micah said that he really liked the Prince Hamlet. So I might try and make Hamlet for Micah. But yeah, so those were my acquisitions. And then quickly here, I wanted to show you a couple of sewing things. Mostly, I just wanted to show you this because it's really stinking cute. So I did a test knit of, I can't remember the lady's name, but the pattern company is called Oh Me Oh My Sewing Patterns, and I really like her patterns. It's one of those companies, I found it when I was pregnant and I was researching trying to find some sewing patterns, particularly for little boys. It is so much harder to find sewing patterns for little boys than it is for little girls, because you can do all the frilly dresses and all those sorts of things, which are super fun, don't get me wrong. I will 100% be making, if I ever have a girl, I will be making so many adorable little dresses for them. But it's also equally frustrating because I would like to be able to make things for my little boy and any other little boys that I have. And it's just really hard to find patterns. So I really like Oh Me Oh My Sewing because she has a decent amount of patterns that either work really well for both or that just look boyish. And so she put out a request. I think she's updating the pattern for her woven overalls pattern, and so she put out a call for testers, and I said, yes, please. So I made these adorable little overalls. I had the pocket on the front here, but I messed up and used the wrong marking on the pattern, and so it was a stomach pocket rather than a bib pocket, so I took that off. But yeah, there's just these adorable little overalls. This is some fabric that I got from Joann, and they've got just snaps at the top, and I just stitched up per pattern. I think what I would try and do for making it next time is potentially see about adding snaps to the crotch area for easier diaper changes, but I followed the pattern because, again, test knit. And the other thing that I really love about this pattern company is the size range. It goes from baby all the way up to like 10 years old in one pattern. You don't have to buy like 4 different patterns to get the full size range, and that's something that I really appreciate about Hannah of Hannah G Knits. Her patterns go all the way from baby, like newborn, up to like 10 or 12 years old, and I think that is so wonderful. Absolutely amazing. It's one of my, and I've talked about this in previous videos, it's one of my frustrations that a lot of times for children's knitting or sewing patterns, they only give you like 3 sizes in a pattern, and to me that just seems like such a ripoff, because children grow so quickly that why should I have to buy like 6 different patterns to get the full size range? I find it so incredibly frustrating. So when I find pattern companies that have that entire, like a solid chunk of size range, because by the time you get to about 10 to 12, you're getting close to being kind of in the lower ranges of like the adult sizing, and so you have a pretty solid chance of only needing to buy 1 pattern for children and 1 pattern for adults. I am totally fine with having different patterns for adults and children. Like, that's totally cool. But I just really appreciate it when a pattern company has the entire size range for children in one pattern. That's one of my complaints with petite knit patterns, is that I think she has 3 different patterns for children's sizing, because there's baby, then there's mini, and then there's like small, and each one only has a few sizes in it, and it's so frustrating because I love her patterns so much, but you have to buy so many different ones to get the whole size range. Anyway, this is a whole rant. I love Omiomai sewing patterns because of those 2 reasons. One, that they had a decent amount that were boyish or gender neutral, and then they also have a really wide size range in a single pattern, which I appreciate. So I was really happy with these. Baby Tam looks absolutely adorable in them. They are so cute. I deliberately made them a size up. I think this is the 6 to 9 month size, because I wanted him to be able to wear them for a bit, and they're adorable. They're very cute. So there's that, and then I just wanted to quickly show, here's my Nutcracker skirt. For those of you that did not watch my Vlogmas, this is just a basic gathered skirt that I made for myself, and then it's got the snaps in the back waist and a lapped zipper, which you can't hardly see. Ta-da! Zipper! And this is just some fabric that I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and it's just really fun and festive without being too Christmassy. Like, I could wear this time of year and it would be fine. Yeah, so those are the 2 sewing things that I have. Right now, my sewing, sewing is so much harder to do than knitting, so I do not have much in the way of sewing stuff. And I think that is about it. We're just going to do a little bit of a life update, and that will be the end of the video. So, life update, what have we been doing recently? We've been sick for 2 weeks, in case you missed that earlier. So we haven't been doing a whole lot. We've just kind of been at home, honestly. pretty much for 2 weeks straight. We were just at home. So we've just been kind of doing that, just hanging out, not doing too much. We've been playing a few games. I've been watching some knitting podcasts and doing a bunch of reading. So recently I've been watching, let me see. So as far as YouTube channels, I've been watching Stephanie from Texas Peach Knits. She's got some videos that are out. She's got her 2023 goals and 2022 wrap-up video out. That one was really fun to watch. And then she just published another podcast episode for January. And then Holly from the Mystery Mouse Knitting. I can never remember what it is because her yarn store is Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. She just put out a podcast episode yesterday, which made me so happy. It 100% made my day because she hasn't been super consistent because she was very, very busy last year, so she wasn't able to post like a ton of podcast episodes. She's hoping to for 2023 to do one every 2 weeks, and I am just so excited. I'm so happy about that. So she just put one out, and I was super thrilled. Sat down and watched it immediately. And then I've been catching up on Arland. She does journaling videos, and just with Vlogmas and everything in December, because I was watching a few different people, their Vlogmas videos, I kind of have gotten behind watching Ara's videos. I love her videos. They're so calm and relaxing, and they make me want to get back to doing some journaling stuff so badly. Because basically since baby was born, I have pretty much not touched it. And then last night I started watching Devin of Knitting McPurley. I've been going back and forth. I don't know if this is the way that your brain works, but with some knitting podcasts, I will watch part of one of a video and then I'll go, not for me. And then I won't look at it again for months, years. It could be a few weeks, for a period of time. And then I'll come back and I'll start watching it and I'll go, oh my goodness, this person is amazing. Why have I not been watching them? And I don't know what it is, but there's just certain videos that I'll start watching and I'm just like, not for me. And then sometime later I come back to it and I just absolutely fall in love with it. So, Knitting McPurley, I've heard Stephanie from Texas Peach Knits and Holly from Mystery Mouse Knitting. They've both talked about her, and she was one of those people that I watched a little bit and I was just, I don't think so. And I went back and I was watching her most recent episode that she released, I think either yesterday or the day before. I absolutely love it. She has the loveliest voice. I haven't finished it because I started watching it last night, and then it was time to go to bed. And I just really liked it. She was talking about mulesing, which was just so interesting and so fascinating. I know that that's a topic, or that's a discussion that it has kind of pretty divided views on it. I've not really paid that much attention to it because I didn't think it was honestly that important. I kind of figured along with Devin that the farmers know what they're doing, leave them alone, sort of a thing. I'm very much in the camp of kind of hands off, let people do what they know how to do. But she kind of went into it and was talking about it and like all the reasoning behind it, the history to it, like what it actually is, what it actually does. And it was so fascinating. I really enjoyed it. So if you have not watched any of Knitting McPurley's videos, I do recommend you check it out. She also has some absolutely stunning patterns that I need to knit a few other patterns that I have already purchased, but I am already eyeing some of her patterns to try and knit. So I started watching some of her videos. So that's kind of what I've been watching here recently. And then reading every year, kind of either at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. Sometimes it overlaps into both. I get into a Louis L'Amour kick. And Louis L'Amour wrote a bunch of Western novels. And I love his writing so much. He is just absolutely brilliantly amazing. And I love his characters. I love the way he writes about women. Like the way that he writes about it makes me just want to be a better wife, a better homemaker, a better, just better. It's weird, but he just writes excellent women characters, and both like evil women characters and good women characters. And then the books are mostly about men, and then the women are kind of the side characters because it's the West, and so he's writing about a lot of like the gritty, like he'll write about like, fist fights and, you know, gun battles and those sorts of things. I love his books so much. It's my dream to have his entire collection of the leatherette version of his books, and I've got about 15 of them or so. There's like 90 of them, so I've got a ways to go. But that is something that I try to, every time I go to a bookstore, I try and look and see if I can find another copy or another one of the books, of his books in that particular series. So I've been reading a bunch of his books. I think at this point I've already read, actually I can look at it. In 2023, I have already read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Louis L'Amour books, and today's the 9th. Yeah, I really like Louis L'Amour. He's one of my favorites. So I have been reading a ton of his books. But yeah, that's about it. I think this video has gone on plenty long enough. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for your patience in the very long time between podcast episodes. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope that 2023 is getting off to a fantastic start for you. I am just so looking forward to this upcoming year and all the crafty, creative things that we're all going to get up to. It's going to be amazing, and I am just so excited to see all the different projects that all of you work on. I'm excited to work on different projects. Yeah. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me blather on. I hope that you all have a wonderful, fantastic day, and I will see you very soon on the next one. Bye!